All right, Vikings fans, it's time to have a conversation. It's time to realize what is about to happen in this NFL offseason and moving forward into the actual season for the Minnesota Vikings. I'm here to tell you, Vikings fans, you should be excited. Okay. Kyler Murray is set to visit the Vikings tonight, apparently. He is flying to Minnesota and going to meet with the Vikings brass. This is what I'm going to say. The Vikings should just tell him anything and whatever he wants to hear. You want to give him QB1 assurances, give it to him. Give it to him. Just tell him he's going to be QB1 right off the gate, okay? Why? Not because I don't like J.J. McCarthy. Not because I don't believe in J.J. McCarthy. I do believe in J.J. McCarthy. I think he's going to be a QB1 in this league, hopefully for the Vikings. But the reason being is that it's a $1.3 million investment. That is what Kyler Murray is going to cost you, right? So why wouldn't you just tell him what he wants to hear? I mean, if he wants QB1 assurance, give it to him. And if you get to camp and J.J. McCarthy looks the part, what's the worst thing that could happen? Kyler Murray's going to throw a fit. You release him. What did you lose? $1.3 million? Big deal, right? Like, it just makes too much sense to me. I've knocked the Vikings already so many times in their front office for being soft and just not essentially treating the business like cutthroat like it is. This is one of those instances where I am just ready for them to go all in into actually trying to win and be a legitimate franchise moving forward. Okay. And if you want to talk, what's the downside? And you want to criticize them and be like, oh, well, that's super disloyal. They're going to ruin their reputation. Well, where has the reputation gotten them? Right? The Vikings have a great reputation, like number one in the way the facility and your organization treats families and the players and all that. It's number one. What has that gotten them? Jonathan Grenard's under contract. What's he doing right now? Complaining he wants a raise. So miss me with that stuff. Okay. It's business. Okay. If the reputation was so important, Jonathan Grenard wouldn't be complaining to get paid more. He'd just be fulfilling his commitment to play for the Vikings on a contract that he already signed and committed to. So that stuff about, keeping your image or whatever within the league, and it doesn't make that much of a difference. Okay. What makes a difference is winning. So bringing Kyler Murray, and guess what? If and when, because I fully expect the Vikings to sign Kyler Murray, if and when they sign Kyler Murray, that just pretty much guarantees for us Vikings fans that it's going to be a fun season, right? Because there's three ways this could go. Option A, Kyler Murray has a great season, and it means the Vikings are good, and we have a fun season to watch. Option B, J.J. McCarthy beats out Kyler Murray. Surprise. That would be surprising. I agree. Surprisingly beats out Kyler Murray, which now gets you excited because now you have a 23-year-old as your starting quarterback who, in that scenario, would seem to be the part of a franchise quarterback. And now you're watching him develop as a franchise guy. And if he beat out Kyler Murray, chances are that he's improved a lot from last year. So it's a great, fun season, probably another winning season. Or option three is Kyler Murray stinks up the joint, and then you are forced essentially, or gets injured or whatever, hopefully not. And then you have to watch J.J. McCarthy try to develop. And even that's kind of entertaining because you're either going to see him develop and become your franchise quarterback, or he's not, and it's going to be bad, and you're going to guarantee yourself a great draft pick for the 2027 NFL draft with a deep quarterback class, and you're going to get your QB1 in that draft. So all those three scenarios I'm fine with. They're great scenarios, right? Now, what I don't want at this point when I think about it is essentially a scenario where the Vikings go 9-8 again, or 8-9, and you miss out on the top quarterback and you don't even make the playoffs. So at least this scenario guarantees you, I think, somewhat of a fun season that seems promising. Like, again, if the Vikings are going to have Kyler Murray playing well, I don't see a world in which they're not going to get 10 wins. And that should guarantee you a playoff spot. And that's a good season, right? I just don't see that world because their defense is only getting better. They have a good draft capital in this draft. Finally, they got Kwesi out of there. So the free agent signings that they're making aren't the big splash guys, but they're probably targeted, good signings that will make a difference and an impact on this team. So again, I just think that in that scenario, Kyler Murray is a great scenario in any direction. It guarantees you, it kind of guarantees you clarity into the season. And if people want to talk about what happens down the line, what if Kyler Murray has a good year? Now we got to pay him. Okay, then we got to pay him. And then we'll figure it out then. But again, what else are you going to do? If you don't get Kyler Murray, Geno Smith got traded, so you're not getting him. Let's just pretend we get Kirk Cousins. And I like Kirk Cousins, right? If you get Kirk Cousins, here are your options. Kirk Cousins has a great season, which is awesome, and the Vikings do well. Maybe they make the playoffs. That's great. But you lose a year of development with J.J. McCarthy for a guy that's 8-9 years older than Kyler Murray. So it's not like he's going to now be your franchise quarterback moving forward, because Kirk Cousins is up there in age. He's going to retire in the next three years or so. So it's kind of a wasted, successful season, unless you win the Super Bowl, which do we really think we're going to win the Super Bowl with Kirk Cousins? I mean, maybe Sam Darnold won the Super Bowl. Great. But again, it just is kind of seems like that's just a middle of nowhere season where you're not heading in any direction. You're not developing J.J. McCarthy. So now next offseason, you're not going to pay Kirk Cousins a 5-year extension at his age. So you're just kind of in quarterback limbo. So that doesn't make sense. That would not be a great scenario unless you win the Super Bowl. That's like the only option, which is, that's like trying to find a needle in a haystack. So that's option one if you bring in Kirk Cousins. Or option two is, again, you see what J.J. McCarthy has. Kirk is his backup. And you think to yourself, all right, let's see if he develops or if he doesn't. And if he doesn't, and what are you going to do? Bench him and now bring in Kirk to try to win a couple more games. And again, you're capped out. Like with Kyler Murray, at least there's the chance with him that he will become your franchise quarterback if he plays well, right? Because he's still young enough. Again, he's like 9 years younger than Kirk Cousins. So if he has a great year, next year you could franchise tag him. You can figure it out. You can give him a similar to Darnold extension if you have to. So, and then he will become your franchise guy, and then you can move on from JJ or do whatever you want to do. But ultimately, the ultimate big picture goal is find your franchise quarterback. And if you bring in Kirk Cousins, he's not going to be that guy, right? If you bring in another veteran quarterback, Joe Flacco, he's not going to be that guy. So that's almost, in my opinion, a wasted spot because like you're just chancing it, seeing if you can find the needle in the haystack with these guys to win a Super Bowl. Otherwise, it's a lost year. So again, I just don't see what the downside is with Kyler Murray. You bring him in on a $1.3 million deal. That's a bargain. You bring him in and essentially to compete with JJ to see which one has a better chance of becoming your franchise quarterback. And you keep them both on the roster. Why not? And if it goes bad and you want to put JJ in there because he's improved a lot in the offseason and you think he is on his way to being your franchise quarterback and he's ready to play meaningful football, well, then you put him in. And if Kyler's going to throw a fit and if it doesn't work out with him, there's no downside of cutting him. What's the downside? A $1.3 million investment? So I just don't see there being a loss in this situation. The only loss is, again, if the franchise is soft and doesn't want to make a promise to a guy and then back out of it. Like, come on now. Jonathan Grenard signed and made a promise that he would be playing this next year for that rate for his contract. And he's over here asking for a raise already. Like, that's football. That's the business. So deal with it. So you got to be that way too. So again, I hope the Vikings just tell Kyler Murray, you got QB1 assurance. If you need to tell him that, tell him that. If you need to even make if he says publicly acknowledge that, then go on, make a press conference and say Kyler Murray will be our QB1. And then in August, after preseason game 2, if JJ's got it and you believe in the kid and he's beating out Kyler Murray, guess what, guys? We're changing plans. JJ McCarthy will now be our starting quarterback. And so what? What's the downside? All right. Oh, my God. I can't believe the Vikings told Kyler Murray that he would be QB1 and then now backed out of it. So what's the downside? We're going to have a $1.3 million problem. You can cut him. Go ahead. At that point, fine. You don't want to be here? Go to the Steelers then. Again, there's just no downside. And the upside is possibly that this guy plays well and ends up being your franchise guy for the next 10 years. Why not? Why not? And that option is not there with a guy like Kirk and Joe Flacco because of their age and the fact that they've already passed their prime. Kyler Murray might be entering it. So again, I'm not even saying sign Kyler Murray so he can be your QB1. I'm just saying sign Kyler Murray so you have another guy to look at that could possibly be QB1. My ultimate goal is I want J.J. McCarthy to be QB1. He's younger. He's going to be on a better contract. Even if he plays well, you still got him on his rookie deal for another couple years. So that's the best case scenario. But I'm just saying, but if that doesn't pan out, you're almost giving yourself assurance that you have another guy that might become that guy. So why not? So hopefully I'm posting this here soon. And then hopefully by the time it gets a couple views, the announcement has been made and that the Vikings have signed Kyler Murray. That'll be great. Vikings fans, be excited. If they sign Kyler Murray, you're going to have an exciting season regardless. Like I said, it could go one of 3 ways. Kyler Murray has a great year. It's a fun time. The team, does great, and they're in the playoffs because that defense is pretty damn incredible. It seems like they're going to be again. Option 2, JJ McCarthy beats him out, and now you're excited because you got your franchise quarterback. McCarthy's playing good. The team's playing well, and whether Kyler's a backup or cut, either way, what matters is McCarthy at 23 years old is proving to be capable of being a franchise quarterback. Or option number 3 is disaster, but there's a light at the end of the tunnel because that disaster, if McCarthy stinks and Kyler Murray isn't good or he's been cut already or whatever, well, guess what? Now you're just guaranteeing yourself, if the team's that bad, a good pick in the 2027 draft, which is a great quarterback draft, and you can get your QB1 of the future with, hopefully, if the season goes bad, then what would be a top pick in the draft. So it's a win-win-win scenario, bringing Kyler Murray.